Hey lovely people, welcome to my second video, and it would be very beneficial for you to spend 3 minutes of your time to gather important information as it could affect anyone globally. With that being said, let's get it started. Towards war and conflict, but it's hard not to notice that we're all affected by war in some way or another. Even if you aren't directly involved in military service, you may still be indirectly affected by the decisions of your country's leaders. Here are some of the negative consequences that may come out of the Russia-Ukraine war and how they affect us all. It's bad for global stability. The Ukraine war has been raging since 2014, and while there are some signs of a recent ceasefire, it's hard to predict when or how this conflict will end. The major concern with this conflict is that it could spill over into other countries, like Europe. It has already strained relationships between countries like Germany and France who have differed on their opinion of sanctions against Russia. If this continues, then it may result in trade wars between these nations, which would only serve to harm economic growth in those areas. It could lead to a nuclear conflict. Russia and Ukraine are on the brink of war with one another, as tensions continue to rise. As this situation escalates, it's only a matter of time before more countries get involved in what could be a global nuclear conflict. The United States, who has already pledged assistance to Ukraine, even if they're not directly attacked, could easily enter the fray, causing their nuclear weapons arsenal to come into play. Meanwhile, we have no idea how China will react if NATO member nations start getting hit by missiles from Ukrainian territory. Would that lead to World War III? It's impossible to know right now. Regardless, these current events should scare us all, regardless of which side we support or what country we live in. It will cause a humanitarian crisis. Russia's invasion of Ukraine has caused a humanitarian crisis in eastern Ukraine. Refugees are fleeing to neighboring countries, and many of them have been injured by landmines. There are also shortages of food and medical supplies in the region. These crises will only worsen as the conflict continues, with more people displaced from their homes, more people being injured by landmines, and more people dying from lack of food and medical supplies. It will damage the economy. Russia's economy heavily relies on natural resources, which it exports to other countries. As a result of the conflict, European Union and United States have imposed sanctions that limited Russia's ability to export its natural resources, as well as limit Russian banks from accessing Western capital markets. These restrictions in turn caused a decline in investor confidence and devaluation of the ruble. This will eventually lead to an economic recession with high inflation and low GDP growth rate. It will also lead to unemployment due to the mass layoffs of state employees. The second reason why this war is bad news is because it leads to unrest. Ukraine has been fighting against pro-Russian separatists since 2014, when they took control over some parts of eastern Ukraine, Donetsk and Luhansk regions. The government forces clashed again with separatists in 2015 near Mariupol city and near Donetsk airport, resulting in civilian deaths on both sides. It could lead to World War III. The turmoil in Ukraine has been going on since November 2013, but tensions have risen recently as Russia sent troops into its neighbor. Ukrainian President Petro Poroshenko called it an act of aggression. The US and other Western powers have called on Russian President Vladimir Putin to withdraw his troops and avoid further escalating a conflict that already has killed hundreds of people since fighting began in April 2014. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for the next coming video and make sure to subscribe if you found the video helpful. See you next time.